Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jen White. I'm the Director of Student Engagement at the Manufacturing Institute, and excited that you all are taking the time to join us today to talk about Manufacturing Day. This year, we will be celebrating Manufacturing Day nationally on October 3rd, which is always the first Friday in October. Just a quick kind of look at our agenda for today. We're going to start with just a real brief overview of what Manufacturing Day is for those of you who may be relatively new to the initiative. Some key reminders for everyone as we prepare for this year. And then we're going to hear from some very experienced MFG Day hosts who are going to share with you about what their event looks like, how they plan, a little bit about building partnerships with schools and how they engage students to make sure it's a really impactful event for them. And then we will wrap up with a few resources that are available to you, talk a bit about registering your events. One thing I do want to note here at the end, I'll have a QR code for you. The Manufacturing Institute hosts an annual workforce summit. This year, that's going to be October 20th through the 23rd. Don't quote me, I've got those dates later. Might be the 20th through the 22nd in Charlotte, North Carolina. And our call for proposals are currently open. So if you have really cool workforce initiatives in your community, please feel free to submit a proposal to share with the greater community about that. And then at the end, we will have time for some live Q&A with our experienced hosts. So please hold all questions for that time. You're welcome to add questions into the chat at any time, but we ask that we will not be responding to those or any live questions. If somebody has or would like to unmute for those, we'll do that at the end so that we don't take time away from following presenters. So with that, again, just a quick overview of Manufacturing Day. It is ultimately an industry-wide initiative where we are all working together to show students, parents, educators, and other career mentors the realities of modern manufacturing, all the different types of careers that kids can move into in the future, and some that maybe even don't exist today, so that they can envision whatever their passion is, moving that into our industry. Ultimately, we're working to enhance or improve career awareness among students and also positively shift perceptions. That's especially important in more of the adult population. But for kids, it's all about that career awareness because they just don't even know what the possibilities are or what manufacturing even looks like today. One other note, we are recording today, so we'll share this recording out early next week along with the slide deck as well, so you can go back and review some of these things. So for Manufacturing Day, our goal is to have events happening in every community across the country, big and small. Some of these events might be individual manufacturers or other workforce partners hosting something on their own with a small group of students. Others may be a community-wide event with thousands of students present. And you're going to see a couple examples of both of those today. So excited to share that. A couple key reminders. All things MFG Day land on mfgday.com. So that's going to be your official digital hub for anything you might need. Also, down there at the bottom, if you have any questions, you need support, or you need something that you can't find on the website, mfgday@nam.org is the email address that you can reach out to for that. On MFG Day, we do have several resources, which we'll talk about later. One of them being a marketing toolkit. And within there, you can review the MFG Day style guide. We have logos that you can download and use in any of your marketing materials that you may have for your event as well. And then we do have a new logo. We've had it for a few years now, but I still have to say this. Please make sure that you're updating your materials with the logo that you see down in that bottom right corner if you haven't done so already. And so as we talk about Manufacturing Day, there is no one size fits all for these events, just listing out all the different types. And this is not an all-inclusive list either. There's so many different things that you can do to highlight manufacturing to students and parents in your community. So please know, while today we're going to talk about some examples that hopefully will help kind of get the wheels turning for you, help you think about things in a different way that maybe you hadn't before, spark some ideas for you. Please know that you can do a myriad of things. So you do not have to fit into a specific mold. The key is that we are creating impactful, exciting events for kids that will make them want to learn more. So it kind of serves as that spark. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first guest today, Casey Kellum, who is here with us from Cornerstone Building Brands in Jasper, Tennessee, to talk about their event there. Casey, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jen. I just want to say that here in Jasper, so we have hosted Manufacturing Day for the past 2 years, 2023 being our first year, and then, of course, last year. After the first year, everybody, all the employees here at work is like, oh, what are y'all going to do next year for Manufacturing Day? Or, hey, I really didn't like this, but what do you think about this? So it was really a eye opener to see how engaged our employees got with this type of event, because Jasper had never done anything like this before. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Next slide. So it kind of got thrown into our lap the first year. It's a lot of prep work into hosting an event like this. We start out about 12 weeks before, and we go ahead and set out the meetings until the very last day that we're going to host Manufacturing Day. So during those first 12 weeks, we're having meetings every single week, just trying to hash out, who's going to be the planning committee. We're locking in those dates. We're going ahead and defining those goals. Who do we want to reach out to? Do we want to reach out to the students? Do we want to reach out to the community? Are we wanting just to reach out to our employees? We go ahead and lock that in, and it's not done in one day. I just want to make that you cannot do this whole event in one day. It takes time. Past 2 years, we reached out to 3 local high schools. Lucky for us, those schools are like 15 minutes down the road, and there's 3 of them. So we was able to coordinate with the school boards, the principals. They have a great CTE program that we was able to work with them to kind of identify what age group from the schools we wanted to bring in, what programs they had. So that really helped us here in Jasper. So I don't know if anybody else has those programs in their communities. At 8 weeks, we started planning our activities. We kind of really locked in, hey, what do we want to do? Keeping in mind, what that manufacturing really is to us. Preparing education and career materials, went ahead and ordered all the swag, the name tags, the signage, any kind of promotional materials that we wanted. We started creating all of that. And like I said, all that didn't happen in one day. We sat down and said, okay, these 4 weeks, this is what we're going to focus on. The next 4 weeks, so that's 4 weeks before the event, we went ahead and launched that promotion. The social media, we set out the flyers through the break rooms and in the plant. We went ahead and met with the schools and make sure that they were able to come visit us, because you've got to plan around their schedule. We went ahead and got it hold of like special speakers. We did invites with like leadership or people from the corporate say, hey, we're going to host this event. We would really love for you to join us. Went ahead and done some test and rehearse facility tours, because you can't expect volunteers to show up on the day of the event and know exactly what they're going to do. So you kind of got to do a little bit of that prep work. 2 weeks before, we went ahead and started cleaning and prepping our facility. If we would have started too early, it could probably get a little bit dirty. went ahead and got all of the guest packets together. You don't want to do that the day of. You want to go ahead and get prepared, get those put together. We did bags, little swag bags. It had their safety vest, their PPE, so earplugs and safety glasses. And of course, that swag bag they got to take back with them. We went ahead and done another pre-run through with the volunteers. And then we confirmed our weather plan. The first year that we hosted, it rained that year, and we were like, oh no, the day we showed up, it's raining. What are we going to do? Last year, we didn't have that problem. It was nice and sunny, maybe a little too humid. The week before, those are your final preparations. You're going to get with your team and say, hey, do you need help finishing this? Or hey, do you need help finishing that? I have a funny story about that later on. You're going to do your final run throughs. You're going to go ahead and reconfirm the weather. I don't know where you're at, but here today it's 90 and sunshine and beautiful. Tomorrow it's cold and wet and rainy. So go ahead and check that weather forecast again. Go ahead and assign a photographer, whether that's going to be one of your volunteers that has their camera phone following everybody around saying, let me take some pictures and videos, say cheese. Or, maybe you can get a professional photographer that comes in. The day of the event, I would say don't freak out. Everybody's like on pins and needles. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Is this going to go what? All right. I hope everything's good. I hope the schools enjoy what they're doing. So my advice would be don't freak out, relax. You've done all the prep work. Your team is there to support you. That's when we provided the PPE at the check-in stations. We went ahead, we had speakers, we did a safety run through before we braked and started assigning everybody to their schedules for their individual events. Next slide. So the agenda part, so the first 4 weeks of planning, this is probably the most important part of the planning because you're going to start talking about what kind of activities that you want to do. And you're not going to do that in your first meeting that you have with your team. Everybody's going to be brainstorming. They're going to be throwing out ideas. Hey, we should do this, or hey, we should do that. During those meetings, that's when you say, okay, I like that idea, but does it elevate the perception of manufacturing? Is that idea going to educate the students? Is it going to generate positive awareness? We're trying to create a pipeline for recruitment into manufacturing. Does that activity do that? We want to showcase leadership. Here, is that activity going to be able to do that? And we want to highlight the company's diverse team. So we always want to make sure that we keep in mind the true meaning of Manufacturing Day when we're planning our events. Next slide. So this is just a example of our agenda. So here in Jasper, we have 2 agendas. So we have our plan agenda, so our employees here, and then we have a senior leadership agenda. So our first year that we hosted, we had 7 senior members of leadership that actually come down and joined us for Manufacturing Day. We had them an agenda because, not always can they come in and do prep run-throughs. It's usually the day of when they arrive. So you want to go ahead and get their agenda set so when they come, you can have it printed out and be like, this is what you're going to do. And then, of course, our plan agenda, we're able to do all of those pre-run throughs and kind of get better prepared. Next slide. So going back to the day of the event. So here you can see pictures. We just gathered up before the event started. Everybody had their schedules, kind of done some final run throughs, some final touches on the facility if it needed to be, and just made sure that everybody was aware of where they would be at what time, with what school, and who was over which activity or who was over which school. Next slide. So this is one of our activities. We actually called it Why Manufacturing. So we invited our plant manager, a member from the senior leadership team, and then 2 of our employee volunteers to come out and give testimony on why they chose manufacturing to begin with and why they still choose to stay in manufacturing. So there was a lot of knowledge that they were given. We were able to show them, the different job opportunities in manufacturing, that, yeah, y'all are here in Marion County, but manufacturing can take you all over the world. So we was able to show them that. And then what kind of difference that manufacturing makes in a small community here. Next slide. So this one, we called it the floor tour and quality hold display. So if you're inviting the community out to your plant, they're going to want to take a peek inside. They want to know what you do. They drive by it all the time. They're like, oh, that's Cornerstone, but what do they really do in there? So we invited them in. We barricaded some lines off so that they could actually really see what our lines and our machines and stuff look like, but we broke them up into groups. So in one group, they were able to learn about our processes. And then the other group, they were able to see, okay, we take these processes. Oh, this is what they meant over there. Next slide. The last activity is what we call the vendor expo. So we contacted some of the local contractors that we have working for us, some of the vendors that we have that provide us material because they are a big part of manufacturing as well. Without them, we wouldn't have boxes to put stuff in. So we invited them, asked them hey, would you like to set up a table and kind of explain your role into manufacturing? Our vision was kind of career pathing into the manufacturing world. There's a lot of times we have these new hires that come in and say, how do I get your job? So we want to kind of show them, hey, if you start here, you can work your way into this. And not all levels of manufacturing require a college degree, and not all students want to go to college, but they also don't want to work fast food. So it was very fun. We had it very interactive, very hands-on events and activities in here. They had a lot of swag, whether they were getting shirts or candy. They played games out here in the expo. So it was very interactive and they really enjoyed that part. Next slide. Now, this is the funnest part. So anytime you invite students in, whether they're young adults or children, they're going to want something fun to do. I will say this is probably the most chaotic but organized event of the day. So this is what we call the skills competition. So we built mini houses. We made sure they had like a window and a door on it. We had a team member go and put Velcro on the walls. We pre-cut the vinyl siding, but then we also kind of threw in a couple hiccups of siding that was too short or it was too long. And we did a competition with all of the schools. So around here, these 3 local schools, they're very competitive. They're big rivalries. So it was so fun to watch them compete on who could put the siding up on the house first. We offered the winning school the eligibility to apply for a $2,500 scholarship that applied to manufacturing, which it could have been industrial maintenance, it could have been in engineering. So they had options into it. It was really fun, engaging. Leadership joined in. They were able to kind of lead their team to victory. They were on time limits. It was really great experience. But funny story is the first year we did this skill competition, the person that was building these a month before manufacturing day, he broke his leg. So we were like, oh no, how am I going to get this? This is the highlight of the event. What am I going to do? So when I say don't freak out, everybody here, they jumped right in. They was like, okay, what can we do? How can I help you get this done? So it really is a team building project with just planning manufacturing day. And of course, with any kind of manufacturing day, you want to make sure you spotlight your employees. They're the reason that we're still running. Without them, we don't have a business. There's no manufacturing day without them. So last year we did legacy awards. So members that had been with us for 15 plus years got really nice jackets. We got cake and we really spotlighted them in front of the team. We did team lunches for everybody. We did raffle giveaways. We had swag for them. And then last year we did a charity food drive for the food bank. In 2023, we were actually outside and we did a dunk tank and we had leadership in, and it was like $1 a throw. And we donated all that money to the food bank. So it was really great. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey. What a fun idea to have the kids build a house or put all the stuff on the house.
It
Very
was
cool
great.
concept. Yes. One of the things I want to highlight is there's so much. I mean, she gave you so many details about how they work to plan their event. Keep in mind they started somewhere, right? So if you are just getting started, your event may not be this detailed, but you're going to learn those things. And that's what's great about today is they're sharing all their secrets that they've already had to work through. But please don't let a long planning process or the idea of how big your group might be stop you from getting started in the first place. You can bring 5 kids in and you can, if you're getting a late start, that's okay. But you're making a difference one way or the other. So thanks, Casey.
Thanks.
Yeah. Next, I'm excited to introduce you to Angela Nagel, who is with us from San Diego, California today, representing the West Coast. But she's going to talk to you about the manufacturing expo that they host out there. Angela, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, I hope I don't make all of you guys a little bit jealous if you're not in sunny San Diego or California. But I just want to take a moment to thank Jennifer and the Manufacturing Institute for giving me the opportunity to present. And I'm just sitting here in awe, Casey, over all the logistics that you covered because I don't go as deep into all of that, but it is super helpful. And you guys are doing an incredible job. I was taking screenshots, so great work. A little background. I'm the Director of Communications and Community Engagement for an organization called the East County Economic Development Council. Our role is to strengthen our community, and we do that through partnerships. We do that through partnerships. We do that through contracts, and we do that through just collaboration within the community. And so one of our key priority sectors is manufacturing, as is for most. Those are typically your big economic drivers if you have manufacturers that are in your region. So we're always looking to strengthen the industry. And we've got a few projects that we work with ongoing to keep the engagement with the manufacturers. So one of our events that we've hosted, we're on our 10th year of hosting it's called the East County Manufacturing Expo, but we're the only expo in Southern California. At least when I go on the Manufacturing Day page that I see, I'm like, there's nobody else doing anything. So we've extended our outreach throughout San Diego County and beyond. We've had exhibitors that have come all the way up the state of California. So I have been with the organization for 5 years, and it has grown dramatically to where we are constantly moving venues to meet the demand of how many attendees that we have. So it's a great event, and like what Casey and Jen had said, one size doesn't fit all. And one thing that I have learned over the 5 years that I've been with the organization and running this event is that we are constantly evolving and adapting to the industry's need. So every year has always looked a little different. But this is our second year that we're hosting it in the same location, which we've expanded to a community college to where we have an indoor-outdoor setting. And I'll get into a little bit about that later. So yeah, with the mission of us is to make sure that we're showcasing. It has a 3-layer, because how do you have one event that fits all of the needs of manufacturing? So it's showcasing manufacturing career pathways, connecting employers with future workforce and industry partners, and strengthening the region's manufacturing visibility. And we're able to do that in a 3-hour event. And leading up to that, some of the things that we do to keep the manufacturers engaged and the community aware. So with that, I thought I'd give you guys a little preview of our last year's expo. The audio might be a little wonky, and if it is, I know Jen will be sharing it out. But yeah, this is our event from last year.
We're always short of people. We're always looking for people. We're always expanding. The best way to do that is get involved with the community and events like this. And this is actually the best event for Manufacturer Day in all of San Diego County, or maybe even the country. It's the largest one in San Diego County. It brings students, it brings manufacturers, it brings the community colleges together. So it's just a perfect fit for us.
Most manufacturers have massive shortages. It ranges from welders to machinists. We see some quality assurance and engineers missing.
And if you don't want to go to a 4-year college, there's a lot of career opportunities right here in your own backyard where the companies and the manufacturers will give you the training that you need to succeed in a long-time career.
We also have our own 501c3 nonprofit training program where people can come without experience, and within 17 weeks, they're ready to enter the manufacturing world.
And the great thing that we do is we have very close industry support. So we have people from industry guiding our curriculum and the things that we do in the class in order to make sure our students are ready to be employed from day one.
This is our current year car. We're on a 2-year development cycle. So the first year we build the car and then get some testing in. The second year we'll integrate on that car and then improve it.
We have other programs outside of Baja. We have Formula, a robotics team.
It's been really helpful getting to hear about these companies I would have never heard about otherwise.
Companies will send in their parts that need refurbished, so we'll do manufacturing repairs to that, being blending, machining, and adding more material back in.
The cool thing about WeldMac is that even if you don't pass, for example, our welding test, we're able to bring you in as a general helper for the weld shop.
Our current internships have been in engineering, specifically manufacturing engineering and quality engineering.
We're an expanding company. We are always looking at new faces, and we're really focused on having that family orientation.
So there are a lot of processes involved in just creating a simple part that you might see on an airplane, but there's lives in that process that needs to be taken care of very meticulously.
Really, for this pathway, the main thing that students need to come in prepared to do is problem solve and make sure that they can critically think about the world around them and apply their thinking skills and their problem solving skills to real world problems.
Obviously, this is setting us up for a lot of people who want to pursue anything in that pathway, because our second year course is called Principles of Engineering, and that includes mechanical, computer, electrical, and civil. So it prepares you with the basics there. I know a lot of students, our teachers told us, that have gone on to electrical school, like trade school, because of this class. And so job opportunities, internships, this class is great for that. Engineering, if that's what you want to do, this is where you got to be.
Because I had the baby, I started manufacturing these products and working as an entrepreneur, and I have to say I love it. It's interesting how life can take you in a whole different direction, but it's all about learning, so we're learning. It's growing.
All right. Thank you, Jen, for playing that. I hope you all could hear it pretty clearly. It is on our website, and we'll be sharing the link after. But as you can see, what we always do with our videos, what's so exciting is that we partner with one of our local high schools, and they put together that video every year. So they conduct all the interviews with the manufacturers that come to the event. And this video is by far my favorite. I feel like it really captured our mission and goals within our event. So I'll touch a little bit about who some of those key players are in a little bit. So I want to just talk a little bit about our structure. It's very, very, very important to have a great planning committee, and that it's made up of a variety of your partners, from education to workforce to industry to community leaders. That is who makes up our committee. And you want to start pretty early with your committee. If you have an established committee that you're working with pretty regularly every year, you don't need to start as early. But like what Casey said, there's a lot of logistics that go into that. And I have learned with committee work is that you plan the logistics ahead of time, work with the colleges or wherever you're going to be hosting that, figure all that out, because when you have a committee, where are they going to provide the most value to you? And a lot of that is engagement, outreach, whether it's your students and getting the word out to the community, or your industry partners, like in outreach and reaching out to the potential exhibitors and getting them through the door. That's the hardest part of it all, because a lot of times you've got a variety of different sizes of manufacturers, and they can get away from their day job, so the larger ones are typically a lot easier for us to get there, but for our medium and small size companies, it's hard, to get them to commit. So having a solid group that is working with you is super important. In this picture here, that is Joanne Peterson. We were really hoping that she was going to be on the call today to give you guys some insight on it as far as working with the EDC, and she's been the chair of this event for 9 out of the 10 years. So she knows the ins and outs. She formerly worked with Taylor Guitars, so she was able to offer a lot of insight when it came to the planning, and they did a lot of workforce work. So again, the committee is key to helping build the success of your event. Next slide, please. Sponsorship. So sponsorship's fun. We always love asking people for money, but if you're going to run an event, you have to ask for money. And so there's a variety of ways that we, as far as we do create different sponsorship tiers. We have different opportunities, and then you can also often offer custom packages to where you could tailor the need. Maybe there's a school that needs help with transportation, and you have a partner that can do that for you and would want to do that. So getting to know who your potential sponsors are so that you can create something that benefits both of them. This year, we're really excited because we're going to be adding a media package into our sponsorship levels. So we've created a really strong relationship with ABC out here, and there's going to be opportunities for them to have a segment that will be played each month. So, get creative with your tiers, with perks is all really key to bringing in those key sponsors. Next slide, please. Partnerships. So yes, like I had mentioned, our whole goal is building partnerships and bringing the community together. Some of those key partnerships when it comes to developing this event is our Small Business Development Center. As you saw at the end of the slide, that was one of our small business clients, to where we had such a variety of different types of manufacturers, from small, medium, and large. And so the Small Business Development Center is key to bringing in some of those small businesses to make sure they're tapped in to all of the resources available to them. Your chambers of commerce, ETP is a state-funded program, and we run a manufacturing subsidy program with them. Manufacturing Institute, you've heard from QCMI, they're a training provider. They work really closely with a lot of manufacturers as they finish training their students, and they help them with job placement. We've got the colleges, the high schools, all of the colleges from all the different levels. You guys saw the buggy in the video. That's a Baja program that's from SDSU. So at our event, we make it to where it's not just manufacturers, it's all of the pathway programs that funnel into the manufacturers. So they're the ones too that are going to be promoting it to all of their students. So you're your partnerships with the colleges and the high schools are very, very important. In addition, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, the student outreach, but finding ways for students to highlight the work that they're doing within the manufacturing pathways. So again, we're hitting all of those tiers to make it a very successful event. Next slide. Exhibitor recruitment. So target local manufacturing companies. So in San Diego, we have about 4,400 manufacturers. I have a list of probably about 1,000 manufacturers that are from our region and expand from events that we've had and engagement opportunities that we've had with them. So, you know, finding a way to be able to get connected to those manufacturers, if that's through your partnerships that might have lists, or building out your own list is super important. And, you know, with exhibitors, emphasizing the benefits of participation. There's so much value in them coming out, getting them through the doors and getting them out of what they're doing is really hard. So you really need to be able to stress why they need to be there and make it affordable. We're not coming in and charging a lot for them to attend. You know, $60 gets you a table. And a lot of times we are able to waive that because we have the sponsorship. So making it cost effective for the exhibitors to be able to attend. And in providing them resources and support. We have a ton of resources that are available. We often, for recruitment, we will host a series of workshops or mixers leading up to it. So we've already had a lunch and learn where we brought in some of our key partners to present. In addition, we'll have another mixer in August, just to constantly keep the engagement with the companies throughout the year. Makes getting your exhibitors to walk through those doors so much easier. Next slide. Student outreach. So last year we had 15 high schools participate. We had 800 students attend. And so we work with high schools across the region, and we even had students that were bused in 2 hours away to attend our event. So building strong relationships with the CTE directors from the schools, and, you know, having them attend any sort of meetings. We host the workforce committee meetings monthly, and a lot of them are just involved through the work that we do within our organization. So that part, I feel like we have gotten it down, and we're continuing to build. Now we just got to make sure we have the venue that's big enough to bring them all in. The other thing that I kind of mentioned was that in the video, you guys it mentioned something about, like, we saw some of the activities with the robotics teams. We bring in robotics teams, we bring in wood shop, we bring in, you know, with welding programs, and we allow them to have a creators corner. So it's an area where the high schools are able to showcase all of the great work that the students are making, and it makes them feel like they're really part of the event. And then tours and presentations. We used to try to host a workshop before the expo. And as I think Casey said, it's a lot to do in one day and almost impossible. So don't reinvent the wheel. Don't try to do something that other partners might be doing. Partner and collaborate. Find ways for them to host workshops leading up to Manufacturing Day and Manufacturing Month. Highlight the variety of workshops that will be available during Manufacturing Month at the expo, so that they know what they have that is available for them. Next slide. So that actually, I did a little typo. Or no, there was 80 exhibitors and 1,500 attendees. I thought it was flipped. So that's about what we have at our events. We do a lot of interactive demonstrations. We have robots that come out. We have games. We do a student activity. It's a scavenger hunt. And so, I mean, this year we might be doing something with the Manufacturing Institute with their student programs, but find ways for them to really get engaged with the companies. There'll be smart manufacturing buses that come out, and we'll have hands-on learning. So a lot of really great exhibitors that come out and hands-on activities for the students. In addition, we partner with all of our cities and our county. So we get all of the elected officials to come out, and they take time to both talk to the exhibitors beforehand during an open ceremonies to show their support, and then they go out and they engage with the students as well. So again, those key partnerships, work with your cities, work with your community. And I think this is the last slide. So final tips I can give you is communicate, stay organized, and engage with your audience. So like Casey had mentioned, it's key to communicate, make sure that everything is laid out for them and you make it as simple as possible. So when it comes to everything leading up to the expo, to parking, to where they need to drop off their supplies, to your registration form, you guys can view everything that we have on our website, but all of that is really key, keeping it simple. And that will help create less chaos with our students. We have a separate drop-off time than when all of our elected officials are coming for opening ceremonies. They have a very specific place that they all meet. They get their instruction packets on what, everything that they need to know about the expo. And we just try to keep it as organized as possible and just keep engaged, offer things throughout the year just to keep your manufacturers engaged with what's going on. And you'll have a very successful event. So I think that's all I have. Here's all my information. You can reach out to me anytime if you have questions. I'd love to help you. And on our website, it's if you do /me after that, that's where our you can find it at this link, but that's where all of our information for our expo is. So you can use it as a resource. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks so much for sharing, Angela. And then our final presenter today is going to be Miss Stephanie Spillman. If I can get my slide, there we go. Who is with American Honda in Indiana. Stephanie, all you.
All right, you can go on to the next one. So good afternoon. As Jen said, I am Stephanie Spillman and my screen just went blank, so I don't know why.
We can still see you and hear you.
Okay, well, that's good. I got my slides pulled up, so I'll just walk through them on my phone then. I told you that Zoom gives me PTSD. So I am Stephanie Spillman and I am from American Honda. I do live in the same town as our automobile plant is in Greensburg, Indiana. So by my bio, if you're on the bio sheet, you can tell that I always tell people I grew up in manufacturing. Basically, I had the opportunity to grow throughout the manufacturing side of the plant. And then I switched over into more of the business role. So that's why for me personally, that I think that manufacturing day is so important. And I think that it's a necessary thing that we need to share with our students, because there is a lot of students who have no idea about the great opportunities that we have that exist out there. So if you go to the next slide, Jen. And my screen really is black as can be. So hopefully we're on the same slide. So the manufacturing day example that I want to talk about. So what I'm going to show you is how we handle manufacturing for Honda. Obviously Honda, we have several different plants throughout North America, throughout the world, but specifically in North America. And we have a regional team that helps plan this. So we try to keep a very regional approach, but we don't want to lose that local feel, because that's what's important. The youth that come into the plant is your local community. So we want to make sure that even though we're trying to go with a regional approach, we want to make sure that we're not losing that local feel, because that's really what's important in connecting us with our community. So next slide, which should be the A00 slide. So for our A00s, one of the biggest things that I would recommend to everyone, the planning was great. And I love how everybody went into the details of planning. And I'm a planner by nature, so it's super important. What I would really recommend is making sure as you're making those plans, you already have what your set target is before you ever start. So essentially this A00 chart that you're seeing here, this was from our last year. We made some tweaks to it, but basically every decision that we made, we truly did judge it against our A00s in our plan. So we really want to make sure our ultimate goal was to help make manufacturing look cool to these young students, because they don't realize the different opportunities that really do exist in there. So if you walk through the objectives that's on the screen, our first A00 is we really want to make sure that we leave that long-lasting impression on students. It's great to pop in and give some swag once in a while to the schools and be there as a community partner, but we really want to do things in a way that will make them remember Honda or remember that great experience that they had. So everything that we did, we tried to make sure that it had that opportunity to leave a long lasting impression. And then our second A0 is really to make sure that we give those students a high level look of the many different careers. Because when you're in a facility like Honda or like many of the companies that we've talked about today, there really is so many opportunities. And that's what we see lacking, is a lot of people just don't realize how many opportunities do exist within manufacturing. So when we're setting up our different activities that we do, we actually make sure there's a minimum of 5 areas that we hit on, so that students really get an education of what exists within those companies. And then we always want to make sure that we're showing the students the impact the manufacturing has on others outside of Honda. I loved the expo idea. I took a note about bringing in the contractors to sit and talk with students too. I love that idea, because that's another thing that we're really trying to get out there. Is it's not just Honda, it's not just the 2,700 people that walk into my building. It's the 1,300 other people that walk in this building, that's contractors, that we need them to do their roles as well, so we can produce our 1,000 cars a day here at the Greensburg plant. So we really want to help students understand, what kind of impact that exists with that. And obviously through social media, that's one of the bigger ways to help students see that, but also having a very tight media plan to get all that information out. So the students are very important. And I think I heard somebody hit on this earlier too. The students are important to share this information with, but even as important, or maybe even potentially more important, is helping the parents and the educators see those opportunities. So we put a big focus on that as well, because there are advocates. We can't touch every student. We can't talk to every student, within a 50-mile radius of us. But if we start educating these educators and helping them understand what exists within manufacturing, they do talk to these students. So we can ensure that we are represented in that way. And then we also want to bring in the local colleges to have those discussions too, so a student even understands how they could get to the path that they want to do. So if you go to the next slide, Jen. This slide here is representing just at the Indiana Auto Manufacturing Plant of how we make it have that local feel. So whenever we bring students in, we always have a real nice welcome center, a nice area to make them feel comfortable. And then we show videos and explain what Honda is and where Honda came from. Because I think, with our company, the Honda story is an important story, and why we're here and how we got here is an important story. So I always like to share that. And then of course, give overview of, what the day is going to look like, as well as the different types of opportunities that exist. So then we send all the students to a partner area, and that partner area is not with contractors. I'm going to adjust that for this year because that was a great idea. But this partner area really is with our local community colleges. We have our talent acquisition for Honda show up. So we have several tables set up so the students can say, okay, I want to be an engineer. Well, guess what? We have Purdue Polytechnic over here to help them understand what would they need to do to get into their college, or how much does it cost, or what classes are offered. So we try to really set up what relevant colleges in that room that we can, as well as our TA. So the students always like to see what the plant looks like. I think that's kind of a wow factor for us. So we always give the students a tour of the plant safely, as safe as we can. We have a catwalk that we can walk over most of the plant, and they can still see down and see what's happening. So then after we do that tour, we go into what we call our Associate Resource Center. So it's a really nice facility that has a lot of training equipment and whatnot in that for associates. So we use that space for manufacturing day because it's just a really nice space for that. So in that's where we're tying in those different jobs that I talked about. So, we try to have an activity for different types of roles so they can see hands-on what that might look like. So for this instance here, this is what we did last year. We had a VQ inspect car. So kids could get in the car, they could see what they're looking for. They could use China markers on the outside, find paint defects and whatnot to help them understand what we do for product quality. We have race simulators, which is fun, but Honda is a racing company as well. But the real story from that is our engineers created those. So we like to share that story of how, those weren't bought off the shelf. That's something that our engineers actually did. We pulled in safety by doing a virtual fire extinguisher. And then Of course, Honda's a assembly company too. So we make sure to have a Lego assembly line to help teach them the importance of teamwork. And then we bring in our true virtual welder and painter to let them have a feel at that. Honestly, the kids do love the race simulators, but the virtual painter and welder is always a hit because it honestly makes them feel good and it opens their eyes that, hey, I could do that if I wanted to. And then a 3D printer area. So after we do that, we break them all up and they all rotate through all of our whatever stations we have set up, they all rotate through those. And then of course it's sad time because then they have to exit and go on about their day. So if you go to the next screen, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how Innovators Quest, which Jen will talk about it a little bit more as well, but how Innovators Quest can really tie into your manufacturing day. So we have had the opportunity to help do a couple sessions with Innovators Quest, and we've seen some really cool things. So a couple things about it is that it has that great opportunity to pair with manufacturing day. Teamwork really is required. So that is directly links to manufacturing. It really shows that no job can be completed alone. And in the game board, that's how it's set up as well. All skill levels can thrive. We've seen that firsthand. So we've seen students that were really on top of it and whizzed through it. And then we saw some that didn't truly understand how to start it, but once they got going, they did great. So that really is a great tool to use for anybody. I think even grownups would like it, to be honest with you. It's of course fun and engaging. It's something different. It looks very whimsical. It's put together very well. And that really helped the students because it was very appealing to the eyes. There is an opportunity to use specialized groups as mentors, so like CTE students or different, even people from your plant could help as a mentor for each of these stations, which would be awesome. It helps everybody understand that nobody can achieve the goals instantly. There is a healthy amount of struggle. Oh, I can see my screen again. It just came back. Yay. There is a healthy amount of struggle behind that. And I think that that is a really important lesson for the students to have, that things aren't just easy naturally, but it's not too hard to where they're not going to ever want to do it. And many of them love that competition aspect. They wanted to make sure they got those goals achieved, which I found quite refreshing. And then something that I saw that I wasn't anticipating or I hadn't thought about is it's really easy to identify who the leaders were in the group. So, you instantly would see someone taking the reins or being that leader within that group. And then as a group leader of the table, we can either steer it to be a little bit more healthy if it's in an unhealthy situation, or encourage it because a lot of the other students would learn a lot from it. So this experience really does pull in a lot of those facets within manufacturing in a nice, easy, organized box. So these pictures here are just some of the examples of the students working with it. You can see what the different quests look like, the different realms. Very, very appealing. And I think there's also a video coming up too.
There is, but I think for the sake of time right now, Stephanie, I'm going to hold off on the video, but Kelsey has put the link to that in the chat if anybody would like to view that after the session. And then she also shared the link, the landing page for Innovators Quest, if anybody would like to see more information about it. But this is a student engagement tool that the Manufacturing Institute created specifically for manufacturing employees to be able to take out its turnkey and use with students in their communities. And we were able to create this thanks to the support of Honda, which is why I've asked Stephanie to share with you today. I often get those questions of, has anybody seen it in use yet? Or, what does it look like when the kids actually do it? And thankfully, Honda has been able to see it firsthand. So thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. Do you have any more notes that you would like to share before I move forward?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you for your time.
Right. So if you are interested in Innovators Quest, we do have an ordering window currently open. Orders will be due by June 6th. And those kits will arrive by the end of August. So they would be available in time for MFG Day in the new school year. The other thing to highlight is while we've created these kits, for manufacturers to use, this is not something that we envision being donated to a school for them to implement. This is a community engagement activity. It's great to be used on a community level as well. So organizations like the EDCs, local chambers, workforce boards, whatever it might be, and other kind of convening regional organizations could access this and share it with multiple manufacturers in the communities to use and take them out to talk with kids. So just wanted to highlight that. Always happy to talk more about that if it's something that you're interested in. But sponsorship information about Innovators Quest is available through the link that Kelsey shared. Very quickly, just remember to register your events on mfgday.com. Again, you'll be able to read through this in the slides that are shared afterwards, but we want to make sure that you're highlighted on this map. But I think it was Angela that maybe mentioned that she's, looked at the map to identify other things too, and there's not been anything highlighted in their area. That's the importance. This helps connect us all together as well. So many reasons why you should register your event on the map. We've tried to make it as easy to do as possible, but you also can register as an official supporter, even if you're not sure about hosting an event at this time. And then finally on mfgday.com, we've got all these different resources that are available to you. So please take advantage of them. Move through this one. I do want to take a moment just to acknowledge Novo Nessus, who is our MFG Day 2025 Platinum event sponsor this year. We are excited that we'll be doing an event with them in Franklinton, Tennessee, or Franklinton, North Carolina. I'm sorry. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have our call for proposals open for the annual Workforce Summit that the MI will be hosting in Charlotte, North Carolina this year. So you can use the QR code to access that if you would like. And then just a couple upcoming webinars that we hope that you'll attend as well. With that, we've got a couple minutes left here. I haven't seen any questions come up in the chat, but if you have questions you would like to ask any of our presenters today, I welcome you to unmute to do that. Or you can type it into the chat if you'd like. Angie, I see your hand. Go ahead.
There we go. I think we met at something not long ago, and I asked you this question then, and I couldn't remember the answer. But I'm an economic development organization, a regional economic development organization, which covers 11 year version counties, ours parishes. Last year we had over 1,600 student tours. So sometimes students go on more than one tour, but it was over 1,600 human visits, with like 60 something tours in total over many parishes. And that's probably about 23 to 25 companies, as well as some training programs. And the reason that I have not been officially registered is because I manage this entire thing out of a giant spreadsheet. And my spreadsheet never matched your spreadsheet. And I was like, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with it. So is there a way that I might be able to have this captured? Because I think it's beneficial for both us and you to see that.
Yeah, great question. And I would say this, if anybody has more than 5 events that you want to register, please get together with me and we'll make sure that happens. Angie, for you personally, I would say, if you are comfortable sharing your spreadsheet that you have with me, or even if you want to take out specific information that we don't need as part of the registration, I can use that and we'll make sure that those events get onto that map.
Okay,
100%. We are all about taking the hard lift off of you if we can.
Yeah, I would love to say that I could get our manufacturers to upload their own, but I think you'd miss a lot of them.
Yep. I see that in a lot of places. So if you are kind of a centralized organizer of an event, yes, please feel free to we can talk about what the easiest or best way is in your situation. But Angie,
Okay,
happy to connect
awesome.
offline for that.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. I'll take one more question if anybody has one. I know we're at the 3 o'clock hour here, if you're in the East. So if you need to drop off, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I'll send out the recording and the slides early next week, so be on the lookout for those. But always reach out if you have any questions or want to talk through ideas that you might be thinking. I do, and it's on the slide here too, I do offer office hours. I'll share the link for that you can schedule as well for a one-on-one call. So thank you again to Stephanie, Angela, and Casey for taking the time to share with us today all of the best practices and the lessons learned. And I look forward to seeing what all of you on the call do for Manufacturing Day and what those impactful events look like. So thanks again, and I hope you all have a great day.